Many years ago, a man stood by his own daughters and daughter, and today you have her sitting right there at the helms of affair, OKUNNU-LAMIDI. The pride of place of women can't be overemphasized, and that's why here in Village Square, that's what we want to talk about. Join me. By the way, happy International Women's Day. I'm HALIMA. You know, in the past few weeks in Village Square, Africa, we've stressed the need for equality in Africa as topics that centered around women were discussed. Problems like the female genital mutilation, which is still practiced in many parts of Africa and the world, was on the burner for a whole week. We're not done with that yet. And of course, we also talked about the global gag rule, which affects the reproductive and sexual choices of women. It was also pretty much hot here on the square. Human trafficking, a multi-million-dollar trade which has women as most of its victims, was also a leading topic on the square, with the need for the protection of women brought to the fore again. I said to my producer, if I had my way, she would be seated here today to run this show. But again, it goes beyond having women run things just for a day, because we need them for eternity. Now, the possibilities of a woman are endless. When she's African, her reality is different, but her capability is undeniable. In the fight against COVID-19, which is the burning issue in the world, women lead, they led, they're still leading from the front as health workers are still denied the respect they deserve. Women are concentrated in the lowest paid jobs for no fault of theirs. Now, in low-income countries, many of which are in Africa, 92% of women are employed informally with lesser access to social protection rights and employment opportunities. Women are victims of domestic servitude, unpaid care work, and what's known as the motherhood penalty today, a wide pay gap. African women face barriers in culture and traditions and societal leanings. These have blocked the equality of rights and opportunities for the African girl child. Yet in every opportunity a woman gets, they thrive and shine and show the need to be given more opportunities and shots at decision-making. Here we are today, and I'm being joined by, of course, two beautiful women. KHADIJAH OKUNNU-LAMIDI, she's the Managing Director of Slice Media and charity champion WaterAid, Nigeria. And of course, in Nairobi, Kenya, HALIMA ADAN AHMED, Director, Nursing Services, Machakos County in Kenya. Ladies, welcome to VSA.
Thank you very much.
Let me first start this from Nairobi quickly here with HALIMA. How will you pretty much rate Africa so far in giving equal opportunities to women, especially looking at your area of practice?
Thank you very much, Suleiman. I would say that it's still a journey, not as bad as it was before, but as women, there's a challenge for us out there to come out and lead from the front. The opportunities are there. There are very many opportunities out there, but most women are shying off from grabbing those opportunities. So as the world grows into a global village currently, very many women are coming out to grab those opportunities. So it's a journey that has started in earnest, and in a few years, probably 10 to 15 years, women are going to lead the world.
Well, KHADIJAH, here in Lagos, Nigeria, how has it been growing up as a woman? How challenging has that been for you?
Well, thank you for having me, and to all the women in the world, happy International Women's Day. It's always good to celebrate ourselves. This is one of the opportunities. Well, for me, I would say I have to acknowledge the fact that I have been privileged to a certain degree. And it is due to this privilege that I I have chosen to constantly advocate for women and children, and generally the less privileged. There are still the stereotypes that we go through that I have obviously encountered, but I try not to see them so much as barriers. I try to see them as, part of the game. Everybody has, their own type of barriers. Now, when you're privileged, you need to lend your voice. You need to lend your voice in the right places. You need to once the door is open for you, you need to hold it and let other people come through. It's not just for you to go through and be jolly well good and live your happy life. So for me, it's challenging because you do see it all around you every day. I'm glad I grew up in a family whereby women are given so many opportunities. And as they say, the value of your education is what you do with it. It's not actually just having it. So that's I'm only going to tell good stories today.
All right, we see how it goes, because one of the key things you raised there is when the door is opened, put a leg there, ensure that it remains open for other women to come in, talking about opportunities. Halima, I don't know how it works in Kenya. Is it the same thing? Because before we dig in deep, is it the same as good thing? You're a nurse. When people have children, are they quick to ask the sex of the child in Kenya as they do here in Nigeria?
Definitely, yes. I think it's something about Africa. You'll find women, like I worked in a maternity unit for about 4 years earlier in my career, and you'd find you deliver a woman, and the first thing, we are supposed to show them the sex. So when you show them a girl, some of them frown. When you show them a boy, it's a joy to the family. That is a woman who has brought in someone who is going to be very productive according to the cultures back here. But that is slowly changing. Women are getting girl children, and they are getting excited because they are looking around and seeing families with girls thriving and being united, having leaders in those families, unlike the previous stereotypes where only people appreciated boys being born in families. Like in some parts of this country, very many years ago, there are families that would kill a daughter when they are born in those families. So those cultures are slowly dying off, and people are trying now to embrace the girl child. And there's a lot of focus also within the government to ensure that the girl child is protected. So yes, the stereotype is still there. It's something that we need to continuously engage the communities against so that we can embrace all the children equally, be it a boy or a girl.
I think it's a fine one you just raised. I thought it was because here in Lagos, Nigeria, it's almost the same to the extent that apart from the frown, which you have also witnessed in the maternity ward, we've had things like half current, full current. You're a man when it comes to a male child, and of course these are demeaning attributes given to the female child. But let me come to KHADIJAH. Yeah, when you say once someone is privileged, you should ensure, or someone is assisted, pulled up the ladder to get better education, access to equal opportunities as the male gender, you must ensure that opportunity remains open. How do you ensure that?
Well, this comes in the form of women supporting women, women supporting female businesses. This stems from women who are, you just have to, always lend your voice, lend your hand, generally, personally, I have a thing for hiring females. So at my company, we're 95% female, and we have a very good time. You see that those stereotypes where a female walks into an interview thinking that they have to check all the boxes and they have to be overqualified. Those are some of the stereotypes that affect us. You walking there and you do the job just like your counterparts that is male. So when I see these things, I always try to encourage and lend a helping hand wherever I can. You groom where you can, you train where you can, and they never ever go below my expectations of them. They always rise to it. So that just shows that if they're given more opportunities, they will fill their roles perfectly. And and for WaterAid, which is something that I champion, and I have such a great team. For today, for this International Women's Day, we brought together some great women who are doing great in their fields. But we also had the agenda of, there's the agenda of leave no one behind. And we have to think of the woman who is in the marketplace, the woman who is, struggling through life, who's struggling, doesn't even have a voice, so to speak. We have to think of them, and we decided to, have some inclusivity in our photo session, which we pulled off remarkably. And the whole cast, the whole team were female. So this for cinematography, for photography, for everything. And it just shows that we can actually run and build nations. So it's not rocket science for us to do. We got it,
Okay, let me bring in Halima here. Tell us, because now you say things are changing, which is quite soothing. This narrative really needs not be lost in the whole essence of the moment, which is the International Women's Day. Perhaps there are some other things you have personally been working on in conjunction with other women to see that this keeps spreading across continent, even beyond Kenya. Tell us, if you will, those things that are already in place and some of those things you're working on to ensuring that this gets better as we go.
Thank you very much, Suleiman. As a person, I have practiced as a nurse. This is my 20th year now. I have been a branch secretary for the Nurses Union in my county, and I'm currently running for the position of the General Secretary in the Nurses Union in Kenya, a position where many women have been shying off from. We are currently probably, I think, about 2 women, myself and a lady also in the local government workers union. This tells you that as women, we are trying to break the stereotypes. We are trying to tell the world that, yes, we can do what our brothers are doing, and we can even do it better with much honesty, with zeal. So the opportunities, as I said earlier, are quite many. It's only for us to empower the women out there, for us to inspire other women to come out and show their leadership skills. We are seeing like the first vice president in America being a woman, and not even an American, an immigrant for that matter. So that tells you that as women, when we are given the opportunity, when we are supported, we are able to lead the world, and we are able to show leadership in various areas. In the current position I'm holding, we are about 3 women in the department, working in them amongst about 8 men. And we are doing an incredible job with my colleagues. So we need to inspire girls. We need to inspire ladies out there. They need to come out and stop shying off from taking leadership roles. They need to take roles from teaching, hospitals, being CEOs in hospitals, leading organizations, including unions, where this has been a preserve for men in the previous world. So as I said, I am hopeful that the current technology in the world, when we hear and come together, like now I'm sharing a platform with my sister KHADIJAH. She's a woman like me, and she's sharing great stories of inspiring and mentoring women. So it is something that as women, we need to come together, mentor young girls, mentor other women, so that people can get confidence and say, hey, if HALIMA is doing it, if KHADIJAH is doing it, I can also do it. And let me tell you, women are, by birth, the gender, we nurture, we are mothers. So if leadership roles are given to us as women, we are going to take care of the world. So I think, as I said earlier, things are changing and more women are going to come out to take these positions and to lead. Thank you.
Well, we wish you well in your pursuit, and as soon as the election is done and dusted, we'll have you on the square again to tell us more on some of the things you've been doing. KHADIJAH, quickly here, you have done something quite unique. You say you pretty much have a bigger percentage of women in your organization, about 95%. And tell us how that has been for you. Perhaps this should inspire some others who thought that, having more women in the organization would mean less productivity.
Okay. First of all, that is a stereotype that I don't know where it birthed from, but I would not say, first things first, I would want us to understand that equality is equally as important. So me having 95% female is on a personal basis. You should have an equal number of, or try to have some kind of equilibrium when it comes to your staff strength. Now, but for me, I kind of generally realize I work pretty well with women, and I would not want that skill or that passion to die. That's why I harness it. Now, for me, I think women generally do have what it takes to do great things, and I cannot overemphasize this. And I love working with them. I love breaking down the stereotypes. I love people coming in and leaving flabbergasted because they see all women and they see us having, doing great things and achieving such great measures. So that's a personal thing for me. And but when it comes to women who are underprivileged and who do not have a voice, we also help in that situation. Because when a woman makes a decision, she's making a decision for 2, 3, 4, sometimes 7 generations down the line. We think as far as you can imagine. And we all experience this stereotype. We all experience this prejudice. So it's not something that anybody will tell you that, they don't understand.
Sorry to cut you there. Let me jump in here, KHADIJAH, quickly. This is also to you, KHADIJAH. When you say women helping other women, are you saying this on the back of some women not assisting other women?
Well, I would not say not assisting. Now, the media has propagated this lie, I would say, that women don't work well with women. So a young woman who has an opportunity to work with another woman shies away from it because that's the mentality that has been groomed. And while we have this pervasive stereotype propagating the media, many women are losing out. You see a female that could do you so much good and you shy away because you feel she might not treat that. That is totally false. And we need to, I choose to challenge that today. We do work well together. Do not shy away from walking up to somebody and saying, hey, look, I need some help. A woman will help. Don't ever think we're out there to destroy or to compete and bring you down. That's false. That's just propagated in the media, and it is one of the stereotypes.
Are you quite certain that that's within the media? Because I've heard women say that they never attributed that to the media. They go, I'd rather work with a man. I'm very comfortable having a male as a workmate or companion than my fellow female. I didn't get to hear that from the media.
Yeah, but we also opposites attract. So working with a male is comfortable, but when you hear it all the time, oh, I worked with somebody who was mean, or you look and you say, oh, 60% of women don't work well with other women. It's something that sticks. It's something that even if you've not experienced it, you would. When you do get in that situation, you will experience it because you already are ripe to experience it. You're already grooming the thoughts in your head. You would see faults in every single thing that comes to you from her. I mean, a woman will be bossy, but her colleague, who is a male, is assertive. So it's the same thing. It's something that we assume is part of the culture for women. And we just need to break that down.
Breaking these stereotypes down, let me go quickly to Halima. Just recently, the world saw Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala emerge, the Director General of the World Bank. That when you talk about encouraging more people, this looked like an exciting one for the continent and an encouraging one for people who before now don't see anything good in empowering women, just the way they have done same for the male child. Do you see more of this coming for people on the continent?
Yes, Suleiman. I think when women succeed, we all succeed. The world needs to create space for women at all levels. They should just try a few of them and see. So I am happy for the director because it means in Africa, so many other women are going to look up to her. And I'm sure we have very many other leaders within us who should be given an equal opportunity to serve. And it will definitely be different. It will definitely be different. So we are encouraged, we are inspired, we are looking up to those leaders, and we want to encourage as many women to come out and face the men equally because we fought for equality in Beijing, and I think the time is ripe now and we are capable of achieving all that.
I stay with you, Halima. Africa has had Ellen Sirleaf Johnson of Liberia, Joyce Hilda Banda of Malawi, Catherine Samba Panza of the Central African Republic, and of course a few others in topmost political office, even before we saw what we saw in America. So what do women need to do to have bigger shots at politics? For instance, you're doing that any moment from now in Kenya.
Number one, what women need is courage. Courage, we need a lot of courage because it's not easy. When we go for these positions, many men will try to attack us with our sexuality. We need to shrug that off and just ignore it because that will come, but it should not stay in our way. What should move us is what are our intentions? What are our true intentions of whatever we want to go for? What is it that is being done in the wrong way that we want to change? That should be our drive. And we should be ready for the insults, the stereotypes, etc. But we should focus on the ultimate goal and go out there and convince everyone else, including our colleagues who are women, as to why we want to do what we want to do, why we want those positions, what we feel we are going to do different. And definitely, if you're able to convince them, you will get it. And if you get it, it is very easy. I said as women, we are very honest because we take care of children from birth, from pregnancy, we go through all that. So naturally, we are made to keep promises. So, and when we keep the promise, very many other people will come out and men are going to change the attitude towards women. We only need to try and try it with vigor and force. We just need to be courageous and not to be cowards. Nobody should break our heart because of what we intend to change. And I am sure the change in this world is going to be brought about by women.
Great words on marble there from you, Halima and KHADIJAH. We'll take a moment. When we come back, we'll talk more on how best to shore up the education for the girl child on the continent, which is pretty much still very low. And as well, talk more on what you both are doing in your different countries and locality away from your area of operation, and see how much this can help many girls here on the continent. That's when we return. Our closing moments here on VSA. In Africa today, just 22 women are heads of government or state, and only 24.9% are in the parliament. Now, the participation of women in politics and leadership is discouraged by many African traditions, but times are changing, as highlighted by Halima earlier on, and the world is turning a corner. More women are being challenged to compete, says KHADIJAH. Now, in the battle against COVID-19, just 3.5% of the task teams from 87 countries of the world show parity in gender balance. While women make up to 70% of the health workers in the world, only 24.7% of them are ministers of health. Now, the UN says achieving gender equality amongst the heads of governments will take another 130 years. Yes, you heard that right. Now, with efforts and the world choosing to challenge the status quo, this can be corrected. Women are denied seats in government, with nations like Nigeria, with 3.4% women in its parliament, not giving enough women a chance at politics. This gender imbalance has been found to affect the progress of the nations that practice it. There are, however, great African examples like Rwanda, which has the highest percentage of women in parliamentary positions in the world, at 61.3%, and it is one of 14 countries in the world who have women making 50% of their cabinet. I wonder why a lot of other countries in the world are not taking example there. But again, in business, it has also been found that companies with more women, like that of KHADIJAH's, on their board have a higher earning margin. Now, this leans on the increased profitability found to occur with more investment in women. A 30% board presence of women corresponds with a 15% company growth. Now, if you just joined us, you're welcome. We're still looking at the International Women's Day, and we have two great women with us here, KHADIJAH OKUNNU-LAMIDI, and of course we have HALIMA AHMED, who is the Director of Nursing Services in Kenya. Quickly here, let's see how we can go this far. Let's drive this home. The UN says it will take 130 years to achieve gender equality among heads of governments. I just may not be there then, but I want to see a big change with you all. How can we get this reduced before we get to 130? Let's start with you, KHADIJAH.
Okay. Oh, okay. So I feel that the only way to do that is to ensure that more women get into governance. The equality that we hope for can only be brought about by women. It's only going to be women that will make girl child education a priority. It's only women that is going to make sure that there's opportunities for women in society and help grow the society. So the more women get into governance, and like Halima said, it requires a lot of courage. The more we get in there, the shorter that 130 could end up being 60. So Lyman, you might end up being here for these changes. So yeah, I mean, it's what we need.
I'll be a happier person.
Yes, yeah. So that's where we are, and just like listening to Halima, I think it is time for more women to step up. I volunteer myself. I am getting into politics, and so yes, I think it is time. It is time to go there.
Okay, let me go to Nairobi, Halima. I'm coming back to you. No, in 2016, almost 5 years ago, Ghana had its first woman presidential candidate, and in 2020 had its first vice presidential candidate. Just the way we have seen with the WTO having OKUNNU-LAMIDI there, do you see more women stepping up in Africa now politically now to get more involved in leadership?
Definitely that is going to come, but it will take long. I think what we need to change first is our African traditions, which have oppressed women for the longest time possible. Our African traditions look at us as incapable human beings. That has to change. And how is it going to change? It's going to change if the governments are going to deliberately enact laws that support women in leadership positions. We already have laws in the African countries, but who makes sure, who ensures that these laws are followed? Women come out to take leadership position. We are the majority, probably, but we don't vote for our fellow women. So it has something a lot to do with the traditions, where a woman probably is looked at as a person who belongs to the kitchen, a person who is supposed to stay home and take care of families. But we want to tell the world, I personally believe that women are very good at multitasking. We can still take leadership roles and still take care of our families. We can do both. And when our husbands, our brothers, our fathers support us, it means they are going to also lend a hand for us to help us to take care of them at home. So they need to release women to go for this position. They need to support women by ensuring that the existing laws are they are working for women, not just laws on paper, but in real, they are working. Because if Rwanda has achieved that, if Ghana has achieved that, any other African country can achieve that. And they just need to look around and see what is happening when women are given leadership roles. I'm not going to stop saying that. Women are the best leaders in the world.
You know,
so it's going to take some time.
Sorry to cut you there. Go ahead.
It's going to take some time, but it will definitely, as my sister Khadija said, it might not take 130 years. Just watch this space.
Let me stay back in Nairobi with you, Halima. Yes, I'll be excited, more excited to see that this doesn't take that long. Do you think it's some form of deliberate, move by others? When I say others, I'm talking about the men folk. Now you just gave an idea of the numbers. More women in the populace, especially in Nigeria and in Kenya. Still, we don't get to see it reflect when it comes to voting for a woman in, seeking political office. Do you think not empowering the girl child, educationally speaking now, has sort of affected the way women also cast their ballot during elections on the continent?
Definitely, yes. Because even when you look at the rate of school dropouts, like in the recent COVID-19 pandemic, the rate of young girls getting pregnant was very, very high. It was quite unfortunate. That tells you that, yes, there are a lot of programs towards ensuring that the girl child is protected, the girl child is going to school, but we are still seeing the same girl child being violated sexually by mostly relatives at home. So it means that, just the way I said earlier, our traditions back home look at women as objects. It's quite unfortunate for me to say that, because you will see even an uncle, a brother, a father sexually molesting a girl child to an extent of this girl child getting pregnant and dropping out of school. So yes, we need to educate the girls. We need to empower them. Even if something bad happens and they get pregnant, we need to go out there, do counseling to these girls and ensure they get back onto their feet again, so that there has to be deliberate efforts to ensure that we protect the girl child and educate a girl child. Because if you educate a girl child, you're educating the community. Any family that has an educated girl child is a family that will educate even the neighbors and the relatives' children. So education and empowerment of the girl child is something that has to be overemphasized, and it's something that we all need. All the government operations, non-governmental organizations need to come together and ensure that we protect the girl child.
And Khadijah, you say some of the things that needs to be done, as highlighted by both of you, is education, education of the girl child. But if you look at it critically, it's still a big deal with poverty stopping many African girls from going to school. In sub-Saharan Africa, for instance, 52.2 million girls of school age are out of school. Education in a girl's child saves a family and a community, as highlighted by Halima. The more girls we educate, the better future we build. Tell us, if you will, Khadijah, some of the key things that countries and individuals must ensure or are in place to see that we have more girls, get educated.
Okay, thank you for that. First thing first is I'm glad that we're speaking about it. I'm glad it is at the fore right now. I think it's not only affecting women. Women have been at the receiving end for centuries. We've been viewed as objects and only good for childbearing and the likes. But now it seems that even the menfolk are seem to not be able to steer the ship so perfectly anymore, because feminine energy, as you know, is very important. It's important in decision making. It's important in. Are you there?
Yeah, I can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay, it's women are important in decision making. We're important in all spheres of life. Now, most times you do see that men do seek the wisdom of the woman. Even no matter how uneducated a woman is, there's still a level of wisdom that men tend to seek. Now, if you further denigrate the woman so that she's not even able to offer you that innate wisdom that that have been helping communities while we were still so rural, quote unquote, then it becomes almost impossible for even the men to lead effectively. So now it's not only a situation where women are fighting for these roles. Men seem almost incapable. I apologize for using the word, but almost incapable to run for the positions they occupy. They do get advice from women, but women are never recognized in most situations. So right now, the education can only come from more women stepping up. Women, this is a job. It is our job. At the end of the day, the buck stops at our feet. We have no choice. We from inception, we're the ones to handle everything. Men, yes, they take the leadership role, they step into the front, but they were groomed to a certain point to be able to do the job that they're doing. So women now have to, step beside them, and sometimes have to step in front of them to steer the ship in the right direction. And one of the major things that we have to do is ensure that, like Halima said, education is in the forefront. Education for the girl child, emotional strength. We have to build their emotional strength. We have to give them some kind of, we have to create some kind of, what's the word? We have to create,
more like a buffer, like
Yes.
You create an awareness.
Awareness and I'm losing the word. Anyway, we have to create enough choices and chances for girls to take that would empower them and for them to step forward and do greater things. But behind them, there have to be women. Women cannot shy away from this. You cannot think it's the next woman that will do it. We all have the responsibility to step up. If you want a better country, you want a better community, you want a better school, you cannot sell your vote. You cannot you cannot keep quiet when a girl child is being molested. You cannot, there's so many things you cannot do.
Absolutely.
Or you're adding to the issue rather than helping out in the issue. So there have to be community awareness programs that let women know the little things that they are doing that affect how we grow in the long run.
Let me jump in here. Halima, help us here. There are more than 650 million women in Africa. That's about 50% of the continent's population. Naturally, excluding them from decision-making kills the vitality of such decisions. Should the legislative, arm be looking at passing laws? Because you actually started by saying something in that direction, but I want us to speak more on that. Should the legislature be looking at passing laws that will ensure more involvement of women? Otherwise, I think some people can still politically push and shove them out of the way.
Definitely, they should have laws towards that direction. But again, most importantly, there are already existing laws that have not been implemented. So there should be a deliberate move from the African governments to implement those laws and even enact more laws towards that direction. Because why should we have so many women and they're nowhere contributing in the national cake? So one, I would say they should first implement the existing laws, 100% implementation. And then they continuously strive towards creating more laws in ensuring that more women take leadership positions. Actually, it should be 50-50 because the numbers are more than 50%, so it should be 50-50.
All right, okay. There are still many women who are victims of human trafficking. I want Halima on this before we come to Khadijah. Especially, I'm sure you must have been able to, get cases of such within the hospital. Human trafficking, domestic servitude, genital, mutilation, rape. The list is endless. How can governments and even individuals like yourselves, both of you, improve the social protection rights of women?
Number one, I think as a continent, we need to be sensitive to health issues that relate to women and girls. We need to ensure that we have laws to punish those perpetrators, including even life imprisonment and even other harsh laws, especially towards rape cases, domestic violence, etc. So like in my country, I would say there has been progress towards that line. But again, around the forensic issues, because remember, if you accuse anyone of rape, you have to convince the court of law beyond reasonable doubt that this person actually did that action. So one, we come back again to education. How many women, how many mothers, how many girls know that rape is punishable by law? And what do they know about keeping and ensuring that evidence is not destroyed? Number two, are we working with the law enforcement officers to ensure that we protect them? How are they received when they go to report? How are they received at the hospital? Are they stigmatized? So there has to be a multidisciplinary effort towards ensuring that such acts are punished, and not just punished, harsh punishments, including life imprisonment. And sometimes, if it's possible, sorry to say this, if someone is raping a 2-year-old, a 3-year-old, a 5-year-old, because this child is a girl, they should be castrated. Sorry for saying this in public, but the laws have to be very harsh so that anyone trying to do a similar thing elsewhere knows that something horrible is going to happen to them. There are countries, some Muslim countries, where if you found guilty of such, you're stoned to death, and it's done in public. So we need to have very harsh punishments for such people. And also, again, it goes hand in hand by ensuring that the women, the girl child, are educated that when such a thing happens, it has to be reported, and they are going to be protected, their dignity is going to be looked at, and they're not going to be stigmatized in the communities. And there has to be measures, again, of bringing them back into the society where they can blend in, and after the psychological counseling, they are able to forget about the bad things that happened, they are rehabilitated, and they join the community back again to go on and join in the national building. Yes.
You know, Khadija, in East of Africa and even Southern Africa, many women engage in farming. So it's safe to say women feed Africa. In parts of Nigeria, even in the southern part of Nigeria, we've also seen women do a whole lot in the farm. How can these people be helped, you know, in the face of climate change and its accompanying problems? The good thing here is that you're working with a team of women to ensuring that people get one of the most essential of life, which is water.
Yeah. Okay. So we started this CSR initiative. It's called WaterAid Nigeria, and it stemmed from the pandemic. When it hit, we realized that many people were given palliatives, and the palliatives stemmed from, you know, gari to beans and rice. But for some reason, people overlooked water. And that is what the most important aspect of sanitation in the pandemic. You need to keep your hands washed and your environment clean. So we stepped in to fill the gap, and we picked all the underserved communities in Lagos for now. We hope to go as far into the country as possible. And what we realized going into these communities is that, you know, the priority most times, what women, the sole, like, what will I call it? The thing that women are required to do in the house is they're in charge of water and sanitation. If there's no water, you can't lead a healthy life. I can't imagine waking up in the morning and there's not a drop of water in my house. So that responsibility lies with the woman. That's why you see women go as so far places with buckets to get water for the family. It is their responsibility. And if we're going to help the female child, or you're going to help the woman, it helps if you and bring water closer to them. So we have been going around, we've been distributing water. We're hoping to go a step further and create pipe-borne or borehole water so that it's easier for them to access as needed. And with this, we realize that, you know, for agriculture, it's the same thing. If women are farming, but what we realize is that women do farm. They are a great representation of the farming that goes on in Nigeria, but they are left out of cash crops for some reason. And those are the crops that, you know, they can earn some kind of economic independence.
Absolutely.
But as usual, so that is something I'm glad I can highlight. Maybe that
just you keep in mind. Sorry to cut you there. That New Centre Villa Square here will support you. African women and women in general have a place here on the policy and programs of New Central. So as we go ahead, keep in mind you have partners in progress. The 8th of March may be internationally recognized as a day to celebrate women, but women should be celebrated daily. So as mothers, wives, sisters, daughters, friends, women hold key positions in the making of a better society, nation, and of course, continent. We celebrate women today, and we ask you watching, choose to challenge the status quo and support women. On Villa Square Africa, women are close to our hearts, and they play a key role in our being. Thank you for being such a nice company, Halima and KHADIJAH, and we wish you well in your endeavors. And of course, I can't wait to hear all the beautiful stories and well, achievements from both of you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So this, yeah, you're welcome. The week is for the women on the square. Yes, the entire week. So we continue our conversation tomorrow. I'm Sulaiman. Bye-bye.